So I'm now going to teach you how to fold these seams together. Now, we will not be able to do this if we don't reduce some of the tension or the bulk on the seam allowances. So I'm going to teach you two methods, one for the concave sort of inward curve and one for the outward curve. Okay, so we'll start off, I think, with the outward curve. So if I were to fold this over to the right side, you should hopefully be able to see that on the inside the fabric waves and it almost looks a little bit like a Cornish pasty. Now this means that there is more fabric sitting on the outside than there is space for it. So what we need to do is we need to trim off some of this bulk, and one of the ways you do it is by cutting little triangles into it. So quite often you see people apply this method by snipping in these triangles like so. However, a little nifty tip is if you were to fold your fabric in half at the seam allowance and just do that one snip, what you end up doing is cutting triangles into it very, very quickly and reducing a lot of the bulk. So I'll just do that and finish it, and I'll show you the result this has on the inside of your garment. Right, so that's now been cut and it looks a little bit like a hedgehog. What you can do if you wanted to is you can then also layer your seam allowances. It might be easier to do it initially, but I'm just going to just do a couple of snips just to show you that you can also reduce more of the bulk by layering your fabric. So what we're going to do now is fold this in on itself, okay, and hopefully you'll be able to see that we are far less Cornish pasty alike. So we're going to now use our fingers and thumb to roll out these seams, okay. What we want is for it not to be jagged. We want it to be a lovely smooth curve, and we can use a little bit of spit and our fingers and our thumbs just to roll these seam allowances super flat and to press them neatly to get that beautiful curved edge. And that is how you reduce bulk on a outside curve. So we're now going to look at the inward curve. So if we were to try and press these seams together, what we will notice is that because there is so much more fabric on the garment piece itself rather than on the seam allowance, it just won't want to go. So what we need to do is we actually need to snip this seam allowance to release some of the tension in it so that it's got a lot more flexibility. Now what I would do is initially layer this seam and then I'll go in and snip it. So I'll go and do that now and then I'll show you the results. Right, so now that's been trimmed, I'm going to snip quite close to the stitching line. But I've got to be really careful not to go through the stitching line, otherwise the whole thing will become unravelled. So I'm snipping through this now, and when the whole thing turns through to the right side, it will sit beautifully. So this has now been snipped all the way round. So you'll be able to see actually the impact that snipping has had. If I were to take this curved stitching line and straighten it up, you can see that these slits have opened up. So what we're going to do now is turn this over and place these seams together. And it is a little bit fiddly because there isn't much fabric as part of the main garment here, but just as we did before, we're going to press the seams together and we'll utilize our fingers and thumbs to get a lovely sharp seam allowance, just like so. You can see that that is now sitting beautifully flat.